good. Bring disease, they want treasure, they want this, they want that, they want to trade, and that's how they look at these Jesuits too. They're like, y'all want something. And it took a long time for them to realize, no we don't. Well, we do, but not what you think we want. We just want to show you love. We want to show you God. We want to show you Christ. But there was always that fine balance they had to walk. Now with John Braybeau, he was ordained at 33, and at the age of 33, and then he was in Huronia. And the cool thing about him, though, was he was a master of the Indian language. Like, he mastered it like that. Within like 6 months, he had it down. And the thing that throughout my reading, the thing that was consistent with him was that he had a big heart. Like, he was a big man, but he had a big heart. Even I think I found that he was born in Normandy, and even as a youth, he would go outdoors. He was the outdoorsy type. And I found pictures of the saints, but I kind of like my picture of him. Picture of, big old lumberjack type guy, just in black garments, in his vestments. But, big dude. Spoke the language, preached well. He was martyred. All these guys were martyred, obviously. Martyred in North America, right? And he had somebody with him. That's the cool thing that I found here. A lot of these guys, they had buddies. They all knew of each other, but they weren't all together at the same time. And sometimes they were in different areas, but they were all martyred within like a 3-year time span. Most of them were in 1648 or 1649. The gentleman with him was Gabriel Lamont. And Lamont was a scholar, he was a professor, he was an administrator. It took him 7 months, and then, again, he had known the native language. He had it down pat, easy, candy for these guys. Anybody who's ever seen Dancing with Wolves or been to Oklahoma, let me tell you, Native American languages, not easy. Not easy. 6 months and you got it down pat, are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. Props, couldn't do it. Lamont, he was the assistant to Braybeau for 17 hours before they were both martyred. Braybeau went first. And Braybeau was the first one over. He was considered the first, Jesuit missionary over here. And not long after him was Isaac. And Isaac's I'm going to focus on one. The other guys were Anthony Daniel, who was ordained as a priest at 29. And then he was at St. Marie in 1648. And he was in Mass, in his vestments, and they were attacked. And he was actually, the Indians burned the church, and as they burned the church, they hemmed into the fire. And that's how he was martyred. And he was 48 when he left us. And then you have Charles Garnier, who was also obviously a Jesuit missionary. He was the pastor to the Hurons and the Petouns. And the cool thing that I found out through all my resources here was that Garnier, they don't have a lot of information on him, but what they do know is that he was innocent, but he was fearless, and a strong man of faith. But innocent and fearless, I was like, that didn't bond with me well. It's like, you don't necessarily go, hey, you're innocent, but you're fearless. I like that about you. I don't usually put those two words together, but with him, it made me pause. I was like, man, I had to think on that for a minute. Innocent, but fearless, person of faith. He drew converts to the faith. And, obviously, he was attacked, and even as he was attacked, the one thing he did was he kept baptizing neophytes. He just kept going. He's like, hey, name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, welcome. Aha, name of the Father, Son. Oh, you're hitting me again. That's cool. You do your thing. Name of the Father, Son. Just kept on going. Convert after convert after convert. Every time he get attacked, it didn't matter. He kept going. Then you've got Noel Chabanel, who he was a priest by the time he was 28. He was the one that would have been like me. He had trouble learning the native language. He struggled with it. Because of that, though, he felt useless in his ministry. But he took a vow. He said, I don't care. I'm not going to learn your guys' tongue, apparently. This is not my cup of cake here. I'm going to have my own cupcake, and it's my vow that I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to keep pushing, I'm going to keep driving, and this is going to happen. And he was eventually martyred, too, on December 8th of 1649. And then there's Rene Goupil, who I like to call him the medicine man, because that's pretty much what he was. He studied medicine, he offered his service to the Jesuit missions, he also was at St. Marie for a while, and he was with St. Isaac when the big thing hit. And we'll talk about that. Isaac was in Verona, and why he was there, first off, he always had to drive to be there. It's one of the things he wanted. He said, I'm going. He was elated. Even before he left, when he was leaving to come to New France, he was excited. Even when he got here, there's documentation of his writings that indicated, even once he was here, even once he saw the hardships they were going to face, the things they had to go through, he was excited. He was ready to do God's work, all right? At some point, though, during his missionaries, he was captured and became a slave. Let me tell you something. These guys were tortured. They were beaten on a daily basis throughout the day. Night and day, didn't matter. They were tortured. And at one point, St. Isaac lost a couple of fingers during this time frame for him. And he eventually escaped. The Dutch helped him. He got on a boat and went back to France. Here's the crazy part. He escaped. He went back to France. I'm sorry, I've just lost a couple of fingers. I've escaped. What am I doing? What are most of us going to do? You going home? You going back to New France? You going back to New France? Any of you experienced torture? You've lost fingers, you've experienced death, you've seen your peers, your brothers, you've seen innocent lives lost. Are you going back to where you just came from? Answer is probably not. He did. Not only did he go back, he knew he was not coming home. He's quoted. He said, I'm going to paraphrase here, but pretty much what it came down to is, you know what? I'm going. I know I'm not coming home, but you know what? I'm going to end this where God started it. Period. I'm going back. And he did. And he paid the ultimate price on the return. Now, that's these guys in a nutshell. All right. But what can we take from them? What's the key here? The key here is they knew going in the battles, the suffering that they were going to face. They faced that hardship, standing tall, standing proud, never giving up, never surrendering until the final day. That's what we take from this. How many of you have ever been sitting, let's say, in a restaurant? You've got your meal before you. You look around. Do you hesitate on the sign of the cross? If you do it, do you do it tiny? Oh, no, or do you sit proud and go, aha, I am Catholic, hear me roar. I love you. Eat. Little things. That's a little example, but that's an example, right? Or something happens and you decide something happens either on the road or maybe you're at work and you get a phone call or an email and something stresses you out. Do you take that second to pray? Or are you worried somebody might hear you? Or if you're praying silently, are you afraid somebody might see that reverence? So I don't know about you, I can't stare at my computer screen and talk to God. I get a little sidetracked. Little things like that in our day-to-day lives. Pushing through. Living our faith. Not ashamed. Not afraid. We are Catholic men. We need to know our faith. We need to live our faith. We don't need to hesitate. We've got nothing to be ashamed of. These guys went into battle, quite literally. Tomahawks, arrows, warriors. I'm not asking you to go out and find some of the most whacked out redneck atheists you can find and go, hey, we're going to find Jesus. It's not what I'm asking you to do. You can. It's up to you. I'm just asking you to walk the walk with me. Say your prayers. Read Scripture. Say prayers with your family. Say, I struggle with that. My wife caught me the other day praying. I wasn't sure what to do. She'd walk in the room. What are you doing? I'm praying about stuff. You want in on it? No, I just wanted to see. Thanks for praying. Oh, all right, I'm going back to Jesus. Didn't know what to do. That's sad. I should have been like, I am talking to God. Join me. Do you have prayers of your own, my love? Instead, I was like, I've been busted. Like I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing. I was praying. I got all stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on. I got stuff going on at work. Stressing me out. Opportunities on one hand, things that are going downhill on the other. Stressing me out. That's why I was praying. I should do that every day though, right? Even if I got nothing to say, just go, Jesus, I love you, thank you, this day is for you. Bye. Right? Little things. I'm telling you though, I struggle. Because when I'm driving, let's say driving's my big one. That's my big boy right there. I'm driving down the road. Somebody does something stupid. What do? Dum-dum. That's being nice too. I use bigger words sometimes. Shouldn't though, should I? I try to do this. Peace be with you. Go in love. I love you. Go in love. Is that what I do? No. I take that big 5.7 liter Hemi I got out there. Gotcha. What have I done? Nothing. But thrown 2 gallons of gas out the window at $4 a gallon. Live in the faith. These guys were warriors in and of themselves. They walked the walk. They knew what they were getting into. I've got the sources here. My dad's the man at resources. He can hook you up with these links. Read about these martyrs. These guys, I'm going to use my generational term, these guys were gangsters. These guys were awesome. The things they did for their faith, for God. Yet we can't even do this at a meal. These guys are role models. These guys are leaders. This was encouraging. I tell you what, I've never read about a saint and prayed so hard in my life. I'm not kidding, guys. I was reading this knowing I was going to come here and give you guys a talk. And I was like, Jesus, I'm not writing down a speech because I can't write down speeches. And then I end up just reading them. I don't like that. I've been a leader too long for that stuff. But I was like, I want your words to be, my words to be yours. I want my voice heard, because unfortunately I can't just sit here and you guys hear me in my head. But I want it to be your words. Because this is tough reading. You can just read this as a book if you want to. Like, oh, this is a nice fiction story. This is not fiction. That's real. This happened. And when you think about that, when you put yourself in their shoes, walking your faith gets that much easier. Thank you, guys.